Bangladesh is an overpopulated country with a minimum wealth, but also Bangladesh gave shelter to the Myanmar people, which is called Rohingya, in the name of humanity. So, as a Secretary General of Commonwealth, what is your view on it?
Well, the leaders made a very strong statement, and I'd be very happy to read that statement as what they said, because I think it's very important. They said this: heads expressed full solidarity with the government and the people of Bangladesh affected by the influx of more than 1 million Rohingya from the Rakhine state of Myanmar, and commended Bangladesh for providing shelter to the distressed community facing an existential threat. Heads called for a halt to all violence, a restoration of normality and accountability of the perpetrators of gross violations of human rights through an independent process investigation. They further called for the sustainable return of all such displaced Rohingya sheltered in Bangladesh to their rightful homes in Myanmar under the UNHCR oversight. And they called for the creation of the necessary conditions for sustainable return in safety, security and dignity. And heads also called for action to address the root causes of the current crisis, including through the immediate implementation of the Rakhine Advisory by Kofi Annan Commission recommendation. And heads noted the general agreement and arrangements reached between the governments of Bangladesh and Myanmar as a beginning towards the sustainable return of the Rohingya and their reintegration into Myanmar society as equal members. Now that is a very powerful statement by 53 of our world leaders who represent 2.4 billion people, 60% of whom are under the age of 30. So in London, when leaders came together, this was a significant part of their discussion. And of course, the fact that 53 leaders, who are 1/3 of the world, were united in supporting this call for Bangladesh and absolutely putting international pressure on others to assist in this regard, I think was a very powerful statement. And we know that the UN General Assembly is coming up in September. We also know that the UN Secretary General, as I have, has endorsed these strong statements. And I am very pleased that whilst I was here, I heard from the foreign minister that he was going to Myanmar to see for himself the sort of situation that's there, but also was continuing those discussions. So we absolutely understand that this burden of about 1.3 million Rohingya is a very heavy burden on a Bangladesh who is not the richest of countries. And to have added so many people is a real mark of Bangladesh's humanity. And I think the Commonwealth stands in solidarity, as I have just read out, with Bangladesh on those issues. And I'm sure that each and every one of the 53 leaders of the Commonwealth who committed themselves to this joint statement in the communiqué will continue to stand in solidarity as a Commonwealth of Nations with their fellow member of our family.
As you know that Rohingya people want to go back their country with dignity. International community also wants their dignified return to homeland. Do you think Commonwealth can take necessary steps to make it possible?
Well, I think, as I've just said, all the 53 leaders, including Bangladesh, made this commitment. I know that there has been a lot of discussion, and will be looking with great interest to see what further progress will be made at the UN General Assembly when we all meet again. But I think we are clear that the 53 leaders stand in solidarity together with this statement and no suggestion is that they are going to change their minds.
So far, I know this is your first visit in Bangladesh. You have already conducted a meeting with our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Would you mind telling us how was the meeting?
Well, we had a very fruitful and full meeting. I was able to give Sheikh Hasina a copy of the Charter, which is our Commonwealth Charter, which contains our values and our hopes and our aspirations. And Sheikh Hasina was very clear that she is committed to those Commonwealth values, human rights, good governance, the rule of law, and democracy. We talked about participatory democracy and how important it is for there to be a contribution made by all sides and all parties to that participatory democracy. But we also talked about women, women's empowerment. We talked about prosperity and the fact that we have a 19% trade advantage in working together as a Commonwealth, and how are we going to do that? But we talked about cybersecurity. We talked about the things that had come out of the CHOGM communique. But we also talked about cricket, because I told Sheikh Hasina that we had been working very hard together, all of us, the 53 of us, on seeing how we can use sport for development. And there was a lot of discussion about how we develop our countries. And so the suggestion is that we will launch a Commonwealth Community Cricket Cup, but also we will call it, this initiative, Peace at the Crease. And we want everyone to play. We want young people and older people, and the over 50s we're going to call the masters, to hope they will help the others. There is a huge opportunity for us, and I think we need to use the things that join us to help us to have a greater degree of peace and harmony, and so we deliver on all the promises that we make. And we did talk about some of the difficult things that have happened in the last few weeks and the issues in relation to students. And I was very pleased to see that there was a commitment already made, confirmed to me by the Human Rights Commission, that the 9 demands made by the students were all accepted by the government and accepted by Sheikh Hasina, and that there is a commitment to deliver on those issues in relation to traffic and those transport issues. So we talked about many, many things, but the real import was that the Commonwealth values are really ones which all of us have to strive to maintain and to honour. And I was very, very pleased that in this conversation with Sheikh Hasina, we were able to talk about all of those things and many, many more.
Finally, do you have any message to give our people?
Well, I'd like to just say to all our Commonwealth citizens that every single citizen in the Commonwealth is a member. Every single person in Bangladesh is a member of our Commonwealth. And there is nothing that we cannot do if we stick to our values, if we support each other, if we are peaceful, and if we are capable of understanding that our strength is in our unity. And tolerance is something that we don't just do in the Commonwealth. We do more than tolerate. We respect and we love. So I want to say to the people of Bangladesh, may God bless you, and I hope that all of our dreams come true.
Thank you.